According to the article, in the past couple of years, consumers in South America, Russia, and China developed a taste for beer and demand for hops rose. Then, in 2006, the biggest hop producer, Germany, had an extremely dry year. In the next clips, we will describe which graph best represents the correct shifts in the demand curve and supply curve, assuming that the price transitions from P1 to P2 and then to P3. So, graph A is incorrect. This is due to the position of both P1 and P2. The demand for hops was set to increase due to the influx of buyers from other countries, resulting in higher price. This would drive the price of hops upwards. Graph A, however, shows the price decrease from P1 to P2. This would only happen if the decrease of the demand was to occur. So graph B is also incorrect. While it correctly portrays the increasing price as a result of more buyers for beer by shifting the demand curve towards the right, resulting on P2 being higher than P1. It fails to correctly portray the effects of Germany's dry year. The shortage would increase the price, however, the graph displays a fall of price in P2 to P3. Graph C is also incorrect. It shows the demand for beer remains constant, but the supply curve shifts left, representing a decrease. This is incorrect as the demand for beer rose due to the influx of new buyers from different countries. For it to have correctly portrayed the new consumers added to the market, the demand curve would have to shift to the right to accurately portray the new countries entering the market, resulting in more consumers buying beer. So graph D is correct. It portrays the increase in demand from other countries by shifting the demand curve to the right, rising the price, displayed by the increased price from P1 to P2. Furthermore, Germany's dry year and its effect on the market, it is correctly represented by the transition from P2 to P3. The shifting of the supply curve to the left represents the dry year, as Germany was not able to produce as much hops of beer, driving the price up.
According to the article, consumers in South America, Russia and China increased their demand for beer, so the demand for hops rose. Suppose the market automatically clears after this increase in demand and that there are no other changes in the market. Which pair of graphs best represents the short-run impact on profits and output of Australian hop growers? Now we've decided that graph D best represents this increase in demand and impact on Australian hop growers. The short run is a period or length of time where at least one factor of production is fixed cost. As South America, Russia and China develop a taste for beer, it leads to a greater demand for hops as they are a key component in the production of beer. This is shown by a rightward shift in the demand curve from D1 to D2. As demand increases, it puts upward pressure on prices from P1 to P2. With the assumption that the hops industry is perfectly competitive, the marginal revenue for the individual hop producer is the market price for hops. As such, each producer is a price taker. In the short run, the price for hops increases, and so too does the marginal revenue. Holding other factors constant, an upward shift in the MR from MR1 to MR2 would lead to an increase in revenue for the individual hop producer. And in order to maximize the profits, he or she will increase output to the point where MR equals MC. This is shown by an increase in quantity from Q1 to Q2.
Question 3. This question follows on from the short run situation described in question 2. Which pair of graphs best represents long-run impacts on profits and output on Australian hop growers? Assume that the hop market is a constant cost industry. We believe that the graph pair A best represents this. The long run is a period of time during which all factors of production are variable. As each individual hop grower in Australia is achieving economic profit due to the increase in demand for beer and reduced supply from overseas producers, more domestic growers will enter the market to take advantage of economic profit, shifting the supply curve to the right. As more producers enter the market, the supply of hops increases. This increase in the supply of hops puts downward pressure on the price and is greater in the hop market, competition in the hop market. More growers will continue to enter the market until there is no economic profit earned by the individual hop grower. This is represented at the point where marginal costs equals marginal revenue at the lowest point of the average total costs. As a result, the individual growers will produce less units to which the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. However, the industry as a whole has increased total supply.
Do you think the long run supply curve is upward sloping, flat, or downward sloping for the hop industry? Explain your reasoning. The hop industry is classified as a competitive market. This is because there are many sellers producing the same good and many buyers. Furthermore, there are little to no barriers to entering the production of hops. As such, firms are able to freely enter and exit the market. It is unlikely that the supply curve for the hop industry is downward sloping. For this to hold true, the production costs involved in producing the hops would have to decrease as new firms enter the market. For example, a decrease in the cost of land, even though there is greater demand for farms. It seems logical that the long-run supply curve for the hop industry is upward sloping. This is because the hop industry is an increasing cost industry. As the demand for hops increases due to certain factors like countries acquiring a taste for beer, the production for hops also increases in an attempt to keep up with demand. The increase in demand for hops increases the demand for the production factors like water, land, and labour needed to harvest the hops as firms attempt to expand their production to meet new demand. As there is a greater demand for these resources, it puts upward pressure on their prices. Likewise, if output quantity was to fall, so too would the cost of production. The argument to suggest that the hop industry's long-run supply curve is flat means that the industry is at a constant cost. To recognise a constant cost industry, the input factors required to produce crops like water, land, fertiliser, and labour remain constant as the market expands and contracts. Furthermore, for the long-run supply curve to be horizontal, it would mean individual hop growers use the same technology, the same output costs, and have the same market reach as each other. This may be true for individual hop producers in the same region. However, the hop industry is global, and as such, prices like labour, water, and land vary. Likewise, access to the best technology capable of maximising the marginal product is also more likely to differ as the wealth of each producer, that is, the ability to afford the best machinery, is going to be different. A producer from Germany or the United States, for example, may have access to more efficient means of harvesting hops than a Polish producer. However, the labour costs might be higher in the United States and Germany. Furthermore, it is likely that the larger producers from the hop industry regions are likely to achieve greater economies of scale than that of their smaller competitors, and as such driving down their per unit costs. Due to this, it is more than likely that some hop producers will be able to achieve an economic profit and thus pull up the long-run supply curve in the hop industry.